Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Smackdown Live on March the 7th, 2017. And of course, this was the show where they were going to determine who is going to be facing Bray Wyatt and everything in that sense, but we also got some other aspects to the WrestleMania card on the Smackdown side of everything. So they start off the show with both Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan coming out, and they're playing it off as if, or they basically were playing off the aspect of them telling the story of how they got to the point of getting AJ Styles versus Randy Orton to determine who's gonna go face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. I find it interesting that they go with the aspect that they have Bryan say that Randy should be in that match no matter what because he won the Royal Rumble, everything in that sense, playing off a tradition. But Shane, because the rumored match obviously is Shane versus AJ, is going for AJ Styles, saying he's like, okay, he won the Battle Royal, he jumped through these hoops and everything in that sense. So basically they were just telling the story of how they got to the point. I'm okay with that in every sense of the word. And of course, they do announce that later, like after they played up to the crowd a little bit, that they were going to like make a full-on decision. But it's like, okay, we're gonna stick with the match. It's Randy versus AJ. Winner goes on to face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. This does lead to a backstage segment with AJ Styles with both Shane and Daniel Bryan. Of course, AJ not happy about the aspect that he has to fight one more time just to try to get in to everything, but he also goes off and says, like, I'm not afraid of fire, I'm not afraid of this or anything in that sense, and goes about his business to go along with it, and cuts a promo for the match later on that night. Up next was James Ellsworth and Carmella going up against John Cena and Nikki Bella. Nothing much to really talk about this match. Kind of what you expected it to be. Cena and Nikki kind of going over rather easily. You do have The Miz and Maurice coming out at the beginning of the match that distracts Nikki Bella to at least allow Carmella to have the advantage for a little while until, of course, it was James Ellsworth having to get in the ring and face John Cena, and he basically gets squashed. After the match, Miz and Maurice attack John Cena and Nikki Bella. Basically, each person takes out the person that they're supposed to in that sense. And then The Miz cuts a promo on Cena, basically cutting another scathing promo about like how robotic he is and how Cena only cares about his brand. Even calls him Robo Cena at one point, and calls his relationship fake and everything in that sense. I thought this came off rather well. Miz is coming off rather well in these promos. He again did something like that on Talking Smack, even making to the point of like, that Cena has the stroke and just says like, oh, hey Daniel, I made this match for next week, I hope you're okay with it, or something in that sense. So you had little snippets like that going about everything. And I do like the promo again this week of where they were going with this whole Miz, Maurice, and Nikki and John and Cena program that they're going into for WrestleMania. It's interesting to see that like Cena over. Let's see here. I've got to really think about this one because Cena had a semi-high profile match. They made it more high profile with him and Rusev at 31. But they didn't really make him and Bray Wyatt feel all that high profile. And obviously he wasn't wrestling last year. He was kind of saving. He was coming out to help Rock with the Wyatts. So they're kind of putting him into a situation where you don't, like, you give it a main event feel on the aspect that it's John Cena, but it's not an actual main event feel type match. And they seem to be doing that now more with Cena at WrestleMania. He's kind of there. In every sense of the word. He's not like in title picture. He's not in the main title picture or anything to go along with that. So it's always interesting to see how they're using Cena going into WrestleMania on a yearly basis now. Randy Orton cut a promo backstage about the match later that night. Nothing really much about this. They didn't fully play off of. They didn't play off of anything, like, because they portray Bray as almost supernatural in certain areas. They didn't try portraying Orton in that way tonight. It was just like, oh, he's Orton again. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll go with that. So he just cuts a basic promo on the match later on the night. Not a bad promo, but not a nothing great about that either. And I do like the aspect of Daniel Bryan during his promo, even though it's a complete felony to create arson. It's like this. Even though I don't agree with what Randy did, he did win the Royal Rumble type area. Like, trying to give more justification of why he's for Randy Orton getting into the WrestleMania match. Kurt Hawkins is in the ring. He's cutting a promo on Dean Ambrose. Ambrose comes out, lays out Kurt Hawkins again, so Ambrose can cut a promo on Baron Corbin. Of course, Corbin, basically he calls out Corbin and everything in that sense. And of course, Corbin does exactly what he did last week. Says he's not going to come out there just because his name is called, and that basically he was going to take everything, including the title, from Dean Ambrose, which of course causes Dean Ambrose to start going to the back, which Kurt Hawkins tries to stop him again, and he ends out getting the dirty deeds. So Ambrose is on the hunt for Baron Corbin. So we do get something with that a little bit later. We'll talk about that because we'll talk about that in a moment, but before that, you have a promo with Mojo Rawley, basically, talking about being in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, trying to get a WrestleMania moment. He gets interrupted by Ziggler, and Ziggler goes off on him. He's like, I've seen your type before. You think it should just be handed to you. They don't just hand out WrestleMania moments, and they're actually earned. I love the aspect of Mojo saying, so is that why you don't have one yet? To go along with it. It played off really well. It was a nice little zinger comeback for Mojo Rawley, so he doesn't necessarily look bad in that sense of everything. And of course, Dolph he has nothing to say to go along with it. It was an interesting segment. As a matter of fact, we had a lot of promo time after the whole Cena, Nikki Bella, and Ellsworth and Carmella match, because there wasn't much in the terms of matches. Like, everything up until there is promo or backstage stuff, because up next, of course, Ambrose is still on the look for Baron Corbin. He eventually does find him, where Baron Corbin throws a security guy in front of him to distract him, and then he hits Dean Ambrose with a pipe and starts beating him down, and then traps him underneath a forklift to go along with it. And like, you see it in there as well. Like, they play it off really well, or they actually had maybe accidentally had the forklift a little bit too far down, but you could tell, like, Ambrose was getting a little bit, was definitely getting red, like, to the point that he was struggling breathing. So it was probably a pretty good acting job to go along with it. Also, what was up with the referees when they were trying to break it up, with them trying to just lift the forklift? Like, they were trying to hand lift it. It was like, dude, just lever. Yeah. But no, overall good segment. I'm liking this. I'm liking the feud of where it's going right now. They're keeping it pretty simple between the two of them. They just don't like each other, and they don't really go too much further with it than that. You just tell their actions they don't like each other. They, like, Ambrose just wants to fight Baron Corbin, but Corbin wants to fight Ambrose on his own time. So it's not a bad way of going. Up next was Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, coming out with Mickie James on, and basically they were calling this the Blissertation, I think they called it that. Yeah, they did call it that, which was basically Alexa was going to come out and announce her WrestleMania opponent her opponent for WrestleMania. So she cuts a promo on all the women, and saying, like, who it wasn't gonna be, and this and that. This does eventually have Becky Lynch come out. She starts cutting her promo on on Alexa Bliss, saying that she was going to win the title at WrestleMania, and then Natalya comes out and says that she's like she and Alexa are the ones in the championship caliber level, and like she's nowhere, and Becky's nowhere near him, so she was going to get the title shot. Then Mickie James takes the mic and says, "You were going to announce me. That was our deal," and so you get that little dissension to go along with it, and because Alexa wasn't going to actually announce that. But so Bryan comes out in the end, and he announces that the title was going to be on the line against all available women on the SmackDown roster. And so that obviously leaves it as Mickie, Natalya, Becky. So those are technically the ones that are available without injury at the moment, because you could throw Carmella in there as well. So I'm assuming they're going to make this like a 6-pack challenge, where either they bring someone in or Naomi comes out at WrestleMania to join the match in some way, shape, or form. Right afterwards, and I like the aspect that he gives credit to Teddy Long for this one. It's like, I was talking with Teddy Long earlier, and he gave me some tips, and it's like he makes a tag match. He makes a tag match for next at that point, which was Mickie James and Alexa Bliss going up against Becky Lynch and Natalya. Now, granted, when he announced the teams, I like how Becky Lynch reacts to it, where it's like, wait a minute, I've got to team up with her. I don't like her. Come on, what's going on? So, like, she was almost going off on Daniel for even making this match. The match itself, it was the tag match was fine. It did what it needed to do. I like the aspect that Mickie James and Alexa, even though a little bit of dissension, they still work together because they're still technically a team, and how Natalya and Becky don't work together at all. Matter of fact, when Becky gets in there, she doesn't even tag out. She kind of fires up herself, which eventually leads to Natalya running into the ring and just giving her a German suplex to allow Alexa to get the win, because it was initially Mickie looking like she was going to get the win. She was going to try to do her Mickie DDT or something like that to Becky, but Alexa tags in and just pins Becky Lynch. After the match, Mickie James kicks Alexa Bliss in the head and walks off, and after holding up the women's title as well. So now kind of having Mickie James be on her own in some way, shape, or form. So interesting way to see where they're going there. Obviously, Maurice and Nikki Bella will not be a part of that match because they're going to probably be doing that mixed tag. So I would assume Carmella gets in there, so that would be a 5-way. And I'm assuming they're going to make it a 6-pack challenge, so it either leaves them bringing somebody in from NXT or somebody who hasn't been around for a while, or it brings Naomi back. Like, she'll be back in time for WrestleMania or something in that sense, which would play off the whole aspect which would completely throw away the whole aspect of why she had to give up the women's title to begin with, because of the injury. They could have just held off on that then. So it makes you feel like that Naomi's going to be out of there for a little bit longer than that period, but there's still a chance that they have her come back into the fray by WrestleMania as well. So we'll see what they end up doing on that one. I'm thinking they're making a 6-pack challenge. I don't think they're just leaving it at the Fatal 4-Way, though those were the main 4 that were out there. The whole aspect of saying that all available women leaves it to that aspect of those other things being a part of it. So this leads into the main event of the night, which was AJ Styles going up against Randy Orton. I can't complain about this match. I would like to complain about this match, because I would love to see AJ Styles in the main event of a WrestleMania, but the story just isn't right for AJ to be in there. It should be Orton and Bray. They didn't necessarily have to write themselves into the corner of having to do this, but I feel like they're using this in a way to also get AJ and Shane to fight each other in some way, though Shane McMahon was completely for AJ being the one that gets the title shot at WrestleMania to go along with it. So it's just kind of weird how they're writing the storyline for that. Orton won. Of course, Orton wins this match, but they do a very, very good job with this match. This was a great match between the two of them. You had both of them working over body parts throughout the entire time. You had AJ like working over the calf area and the leg area to set up the calf crusher later on in the match. But while he's doing his other things to go along with it, but he's working over that aspect with kicks and everything to go along with it. And of course, Orton's working over. I believe Orton's more working over the neck or something in that sense. He was setting up something else to go along with it. But also, just how they ended the match. I love the aspect that, like, AJ, at least for a moment, sniffs out the whole RKO out of nowhere thing, because he's going to go for a springboard for the flying forearm to catch Orton. But Orton goes into the motion of like going for the RKO, and AJ just gets back down on the apron and just gives that smug look on his face. I absolutely loved this match. They worked a story in there that was worth the match. Also, the aspect that, this is one of those matches you kind of wanted to see, but we haven't seen yet since AJ's been there and Orton has been around as well. So they've actually held off on this match for quite a bit of time, and this was a pay-per-view quality match on free TV to go along with it. So, in all fairness, this was a really good match between them. Of course, Orton does eventually hit an RKO out of nowhere. AJ misses the 450 and gets launched in the air into an RKO. Orton celebrates. He's going to Wrestlemania, everything in that sense. And you would also assume that this is going to leave AJ Styles going towards Shane McMahon. Matter of fact, I think since I'm recording this like day after, they had some like backstage altercation with Shane and AJ Styles. So you're assuming that they are leading towards that at this point in time to go along with it. So we'll see how that completely plays off here in the very near future. Overall, this week's SmackDown, even though very promo heavy, they set themselves up for WrestleMania rather well, actually, that's what they did. They pretty much set themselves up for WrestleMania for the most part, setting up the whole women's title match. A little bit more setup between Miz and Maurice and Cena and Nikki Bella. The setups, the story that they have going with with Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin, I think is really good. And it's leading to, guess what, the Intercontinental title having a one-on-one match, not just some multi-man's like ladder match or something in that sense. Like the Intercontinental title has something behind it to go along with it. And that match with AJ Styles and Randy Orton was just a great match. You can't deny that one. I can't deny a clean finish either. You kind of expected Orton going over in this match because that's where the storyline says it's going. But they worked this match really well, and I like the little snippets that they put into the match to go along with it. So yeah, overall, very enjoyable SmackDown this week. Even though very promo heavy, very enjoyable. So, with that being said, guys, that is my review this week for SmackDown Live. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.